Can you talk about, a lot of people don't even know what private equity is.
Sure.
They might have, I think people are familiar with venture capital at this point because that's really trendy. But can you talk about what private equity is and the difference between that and venture capital?
Yeah, it's a great question because our community, it's important our community understand the role of capital in growth. And there's different providers of capital along different stages of a company, okay? One of the best ways to think about it is if you all have an idea, which you have, we're gonna create a platform to educate our people. You're gonna start off first with the idea of labor, you two, right? And we've got ideas, we're gonna write them down, we're gonna put a process together to now communicate those ideas. Great, and so you start off in social media because it's free. And now you say, well, how do I now push this out more broadly speaking beyond trying to get followers? And you may say, maybe I should buy some advertising. Where am I gonna get this money? Okay. The vast majority of investment capital even today is still out of the debt markets. So unfortunately, 70% of our communities don't actually have a branch bank. So depending upon where you live, there's no bank that you have a banking relationship with. You can go and say, hey, I need $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 because look at how, and they don't understand your business. I've got 840,000 followers. And if I had $20,000, I could rent a studio, 5 times a month and get 1 million followers or 2 million followers. And by having 2 million followers, I can go get advertisers who will pay me to have access to, my people, right? And if they pay me, I can now pay you back that money, and then I can invest it more in my business and make it grow. That's the capital cycle, and it's a virtuous one. But our community hasn't had access to capital. The next phase of that is like some of the banks are like, well, there's no hard assets because your hard assets are your hard work. So I'm not going to lend you any money. I'm not sure you're credit worthy. So you can't come to me. So enter the venture capitalists. The venture capitalists are designed to actually look at what it is you're doing in the markets that you participate in. And if you have more capital, and in some cases know-how and resources, that they can hopefully bring to you because they've done this once or twice or 100 times in that industry, they can show you, yeah, take that $10,000, okay? Don't buy advertising. But what I want you to do is actually build a platform where you can do your own streaming. It's more efficient long-term and you make more money long-term. And so that's advice you might get from them. And here's $10,000. Now, they're not going to necessarily ask for an interest rate like the bank, paying 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, now 12%, right? In interest. They're going to ask you for a percentage of the company. And they say, and when you sell the company, you're not going to own 100%. You're going to own 100% minus how much they bought. That's venture capital. Okay. Now, years later, you're now running a big platform. You got 20 million followers. You've got advertisers making $8, $10, $15 million a month in advertising revenues, and what you're not spending on your team and crew because you're going to give them all raises because they're phenomenal. You guys should, I'm giving a shout out to them. So y'all should be thanking me. Noted. Yeah. So, but don't be too greedy. No. But now you're at the point where you're making, 10, 30, 40, $50 million in revenues, and now you're trying to manage your business, how profitable and expenses and all that. And that's where private equity comes in. Private equity typically are larger checks, and we typically bring, in my case, we do buyouts. So we want to do control investments where you are selling control of your business. And you may say, well, why am I selling control of my business? A, get the money, but B, what you really want is my know-how. Why do founders come to us? Because we've done it so many times in enterprise software. I can bring, remember those best practices I was telling you? Here's how you run your product development organization more efficiently. Here's how you run your go-to-market system more efficiently. Here's how you do your contract administration more efficiently. Because you've never done that before, or you've done it, but you don't necessarily know the best way to do it. And we can share experiences with you that actually can enable you to do it. Now, not all private equity people bring that. Some just bring the capital. And they say, I just want to own the business, because if I buy the business and it's growing well over time, and they may put debt on the business, they're going to increase the value of that business. And then when they sell it, they make the difference between where they sold it and what they bought it for minus the debt that was in the company.